Hello, my name is Matthew Halliday. I'm the President and Chief Operating Officer of Canada's Silver Cobalt Works. We have a high-grade silver asset with a nice cobalt byproduct in Northern Ontario. We plan on putting that asset into production into the future. And we also have a process route to ox that can produce cobalt sulphate on spec for the EV market. So our intent is to develop projects and produce silver and battery metals products.
Welcome to London.
Thank you.
You made it.
I made it.
That's good. Were you doing the tour of Europe as well, or are you just setting London up?
No, I went to Zurich and I went to Frankfurt, and it was quite good.
Yeah.
So,
busy?
Busy. Frankfurt, not so much, but Zurich was very busy.
And to what end? Why are you trotting around Europe?
Well, we have a new development plan in place, and we really want to get our stock value up.
Yeah.
We'd like to do some hard dollars financing in the future, and start getting some of these projects moving forward.
Right. Well, music to, I guess, your shareholders' ears, because it's about moving things forward. Most of the inbound that we've had is around you guys have put lots of options on the table, some super high-grade headlines as well. I mean, ridiculously high-grade headlines. But what are you doing? You know, what's the game plan here? So has much changed since we spoke in May?
There has been quite a few developments since May. A few developments on many lines. We're getting much closer to our spin out. We're going to spin out the Graal property, which is one of our Quebec battery metals assets. We had the technical report produced in the summer. So that's one of the key components of getting that spun out. We need a 43-101 compliant report. We've done our carve-out financials. Now it's basically in the hands of the exchange and the lawyers. And hopefully we'll have that spin out accomplished in the next 3 months. Part of the game plan is to be able to vend in our Quebec battery metals properties into that new company, Coniagas Battery Metals. And that will really simplify the story at Canada Silver-Cobalt. I'll be staying with Canada Silver-Cobalt and continuing to develop the silver assets and our gold EB Auto property. So we'll remain a precious metals company with a cobalt byproduct.
Right, because I mean, obviously, with Canada, with company number one, there's a long history of it hasn't done much for the past few years, right? There's a kind of legacy issue there. The spin out perhaps will give you kind of a clean, fresh start on that one. But given we're here to talk about company number one, what else will you be doing with that company to kind of engender some kind of interest, whether it be by either changing the... by changing the game plan, is it kind of more like an incubator type thing, and there'll be more spin-outs along the way, or does it actually kind of serve some kind of useful purpose in its own right?
So, we are a company that has always been opportunistic when it comes to good land acquisitions. The EB Auto property, we had an opportunity near Kirkland Lake Gold, or near Kirkland Lake Town. We're about 5 kilometers southwest of the Macassa mine. This land package was never really consolidated historically. So we put together 1,000 hectares from 6 prospectors and 3 option agreements. And I think we have an excellent opportunity there for Greenfield's gold exploration. Yeah, in one small sense, we are opportunistic, and if we can do something cost effectively and pick up the ground, particularly with our in-house team, which is quite specialized, then we will go ahead and do that. But the main focus, particularly after the spin out, is developing the cobalt mining camp, and I have a really strong action plan ahead to be able to move those projects forward. In recent days, we have had a nice press release. We hit 4,700 grams per ton at about 50 meters underground, below the surface. But
small intervals, right? So you're chasing some narrow veins. So it comes back to this thing. I'm trying to understand how the company grows, how the company makes money, and if there's a plan to sort of incubate projects, then spin them out. I can understand that. That kind of makes sense to me, and everyone will benefit from that. But you've kind of got the precious metal bit. Mm-hmm. You've got the battery bit. You've just gone and picked up some lithium. as well to boot. And it just seems like there's so much on the table. I don't know where to look. So is there a kind of order of play that you've got in your mind as to how this thing rolls out going forward?
Well, I have an order of play for the cobalt mining camp.
Right.
We have our facility is up and running, so we are ready for being able to produce in the future. In the meantime, I want the facility to become self-sufficient, and I have those actions in play now.
Right.
So that
being what, those actions?
I have a manager of that facility, and hopefully it'll be kind of commercialized, and he will take care of all of that, and it'll alleviate any costs that we would have to incur to maintain that facility if he is producing analytical services out of that facility.
Right. Okay.
So that's in play, and
But
hopefully
when will that make money? When will it stand on its own 2 feet?
I expect within the next 8 months.
Okay.
And it has already demonstrated its use. We've done a bulk sample for another company already through that facility, and so it is something that has been beneficial to the company.
Right. But okay, just sticking with that. So what's the potential there? Because it doesn't feel like it's going to be masses of revenue or have masses of growth.
No.
It's just a technical possibility that you've got on the sidelines to be able to, I don't know what, for the rest of your organization. Why have it at all?
Well, it really is designed for the cobalt mining camp as a high-grade milling facility.
Right.
That is specialized for this camp. It was built by the government of Ontario back in I don't remember the date, but it was operational for many, many years, produced a lot of ounces of silver for multiple mining companies in the camp. So for us, the price that we picked it up was quite low. The replacement value was quite high. Replacement value is over 10 million. I think it's probably around 12 to 15 million. And we picked it up for about 600,000 cash and shares. And when we're ready to do bulk samples, it's there for us, and we can start pouring our own silver doré bars. So that's there, and I have it hopefully to the point where I don't need to be managing that on a daily basis.
Hopefully, standalone unit there when you need it. Okay,
that's right.
What's next?
So what's next? I do want to get back to drilling at the castle. So we've had some of those really good results coming out. The shallow intercepts, I want to design a small drill program around the shallow intercepts. That will have to wait until, I would imagine, April.
Why?
We're drilling at the EB Auto. I like my drill contractor. I don't want to use another drill contractor at this point. As far as budgeting goes, it's great to have the one drill, and then we can transition that drill back to the Castle East. We know that we have the people that we trust and can do the job effectively.
Okay, so we'll be drilling there. And how are you funding that? I know you've raised a little bit of money recently, but how's money at the moment?
Well, we're sitting at around just under $1 million.
Right.
So we are going to have to go back and raise a small amount of money for the exploration of next year, as well as particularly we'd like to get some hard dollars in. Mm-hmm. We've done some flow-through raises recently. And so that'll cover a lot of our management costs and things like that. So I think we're looking in the future of around $1.5 million.
Right. Would you do that before or after spin out?
I believe it's before the spin out.
Right. Okay. Because there'll be some costs associated with that, upfront costs associated with that as well. Yeah. Right.
And so the data that's still coming in from the castle, we're going to wait for all of that data to come in. We've had a pretty good structural model created for the Castle East. It took quite a bit of time, and the analytical data took far too long. As you can see, it's still coming in. Once that database is complete, then we are going to go back to getting that mineral resource update done. And following the mineral resource update, we want to do a PFS for the ramp development at the Castle East. Right.
So what did the old resource say in terms of the size?
The old resource was 7.5 million ounces at 250 ounce per ton, right. All inferred. Right. What I'm targeting really is a panel that we can mine and take a bulk sample out of. So I'm really looking for that 2 to 3 million ounces measured, indicated on a defined project.
Okay, so it's getting there. You're going through a process. It's getting there. It's going to be of a certain size. The plan sounds like we want to try and see if we can actually start mining this stuff and actually get some revenue, and then we can plow that money back into the ground.
That's
to
right.
build this thing up, okay? Which is fine. That's a kind of defensible and defensive approach to the markets at the moment, which are choppy as anything, right? Most companies have had a very painful year in 2022, and it's a case of navigating those choppy waters. So for you, sounds like small raises every now and again to kind of move the ball forward somewhat. You're going to need to see some sort of reaction in the share price. Otherwise, it continues to be expensive money. So what is the thing that's going to move the dial, do you think?
Well, that's hard to predict, especially because of timing. I really think that a shallow drill program at the Castle East, if there's success on that, that will really change the dynamics of being able to put the ramp in. The ramp is targeting mineralization at 400 meters depth.
Right.
If we could start targeting mineralization at 50 meters depth, that's significant change.
So success is shallow for you. That's what's going to do it for you.
Well, that's one piece. I mean, of course, we do have the results will be coming out for the EB Auto Gold project. And if we do intersect gold there at the EB Auto, I think that's going to be some very positive information.
The market's weird at the moment. It's really weird. You've got your headline. It was nuts. Right? 4,000 odd grams per ton. Mark, I was like, wow.
Whatever, right? Sell into good news. I really don't understand the market right now. I have to admit that it is, you said it right, it's weird right now. Yeah.
What does it think? People, retail, a bit nervous at the moment. We had this back in 2013-ish, I think. Retail just got a bit freaked out. Risk off and just sat back and waited. But you've got to carry on. Well, or you could hunker down, I guess, but it sounds like you're carrying on. There's going to be a point that you're going to make some pretty big or tough decisions, though, aren't there?
Yeah.
Because maybe the money's not there. I don't know. I'm not I'm not pointing at you. I'm saying the market broadly for precious metals is a bit weird. So I wouldn't be a mining CEO for love nor money at the moment.
Well, there's always some tough decisions to be made. The company is a company that can scale up and down fairly readily. So I think we have weathered a lot of good and bad times, and I think that we have a solid action plan in the Galganda camp for taking it forward, and I'm fairly confident we'll get through it.
Okay, but where I want to go is you've got to time the spin out properly, right? And you've got the option to manage that timing, or do you need to rush to do that because that's going to be, you think, potentially a catalyst for a change?
I think we can manage the timing. It's something that we have been anticipating getting out, but at the same time, we can choose the right conditions to spin that out.
Why spin it out? Why not sale? Because, like I said, there's lots of ways you could do this, because money is king. People say gold is king, but money's king, right? Actual money, because you've got optionality to choose what you do with the rest of the portfolio. And let's face it, you've got a lot of moving parts in there, right? So why spin out? Why is that the best route?
Right. Well, I think that there's a couple of things to be said for the spin out. One, Canada Silver Cobalt can retain an interest in the spin out. Two, we can give a share and a warrant to our current shareholder base as distribution. I think that we can grow the Grawl project much more readily with a new management team, and we can select and see what that management team will look like. This new company is going to be a Quebec-based company that can take advantage a lot of the environment that's going on in Quebec. And so I think we can really provide some good value for our shareholders by developing this new management team and developing this great project in a new company.
We say new management team, is mostly the same people, isn't it?
I don't anticipate it to be the same people. I'm not going to be on the management team, at least not to start, that's for sure, at Koniagas. So, I'd like to see a nice geological team that we can pick that, is well adapted to the
You found any?
location. Well, right now we currently use a consultant for that area that is very, very good. We'll continue to use him until we have the right people in place for.
Because you need someone's technical, because it sounds like quite a technical challenge ahead of you. You also need someone who can run a public company or has run a public company before.
Yes.
Lots of balls in the air in terms of what they need to be able to do. Make coffee, do the books, everything. It's hard to find the right people to move things, especially going to come back to this market. You've got to understand how you play these markets to be able to kind of stay in the game and advance things and grow things and raise money. It's tough. So that's a big call about who you select.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we have most of the pieces starting to come together now.
Right.
And it should be a good endeavor.
Okay. What do you think the main challenge for you is next year? I mean, obviously raising capital is one thing. You've told us the kind of sequence of things that you want to do. But what's the real big problem you're trying to solve? You sit down on the board and go, right, this is tough. We need to crack this nut. What is that nut?
Yeah, the real nut is getting these projects initiated. I have a lot of good projects, particularly in the cobalt mining camp. So I'll just kind of outline 4 of them if I can. I have the Beaver tailings, the Castle tailings, the Castle Adit, which is a historic mine, and then I have the Castle East, which is our discovery. I'm currently working on a project definition file for the government to advance the Beaver tailings into a stage where we can reprocess them.
Right.
I do need to get the response from the government and evaluate the economics of that project. The Beaver, I have drilling, well, that's not drilling, it's sampling. It's called a sonic, they call it a sonic drill, but it's really like a vibration type thing. And so I have, all of the internal information of the Beaver, but the next steps is, will it be economic and what type of environmental baseline? So I need to move that project forward.
But see, the frustrating thing there for, I guess, people looking is going, well, tailings, it's sitting at surface, right? How long does it take to work out what the economics could be? You can very quickly work out what the grade is.
Yes,
right?
I have the
And
grade.
then you also need to go and get some money to do the thing that whatever you're going to do in terms of processing it, and then you need all the permissions. But it feels like surely you can get on with that. That's money to be had.
Surely.
Right?
I think the big step, and again, I do have the document ready, the big step is understanding how much environmental work needs to go into a baseline to get all of the permits to process. And so I assume, and this is a big assumption, that we only need to do mostly surface sampling and not underground sampling because tailings are on surface. So as long as the environmental costs are low in terms of sampling, then it should be a go.
Right, and how do you manage that? Sorry to get into the weeds here with you, but it feels like there's money sitting at surface. Do you just transport ore for someone else to process? Do you want to do that yourself? I don't know the extent or size of the opportunity.
Yeah, we have the equipment to do it ourselves.
Right.
So we do need like an excavator. We have a screening plant. We have the gravity spirals, and we have our TTL facility, which has a gravity concentrator in the facility. The Beaver tailings is the project I'd like to initiate first because I believe we could be reprocessing tailings by sometime in 2025, which is...
That far out?
That far out, yeah, that far out. I basically need to be filing the documentation now, and it could be as far as 2025 because, again, we do need to have an environmental baseline study.
Okay.
So in tandem,
but before you, sorry to interrupt, but okay, 2020, 25, I can go, right, okay, I can see that. It's not too far away. Between now and then, in terms of the things that you can control, I guess you're in control of those. What are the things that could stop that? The environmental would be, I guess, one of those things. What else? Lack of access to capital, or change of direction from you? I mean, how focused are you on that in terms of that revenue that you can see in front of you? Can
you rephrase that somehow?
Sure. I'm trying to work out, if you've got these tailings, you can access these tailings. If you can get the environmental permits through, you've got to then put the money together, put the team together, and then get after that. Shouldn't that sort of be like high priority for you?
It is a high priority for me. And again, based on the success of the Beaver, we can move to the Castle shortly thereafter. It's not a large capex opex type of operation. I suspect that all-in cost for, say, the Beaver project is somewhere on the order of $2 million. So
that's not insurmountable.
It's not insurmountable, and the Castle maybe $3 million, maybe more. We do want to paste and backfill at the Castle, which adds a level of cost.
Right, and when can you actually start putting some numbers on that? What the economics could look like? How quickly can that happen? 2025 for actually doing it, if all things being equal.
For the Beaver. Realistically, we can start getting some good numbers together after we get a response from Mines, which is the new ministry in Ontario, as to what we need to do for the environmental baseline study. And once we have the environmental baseline study data in, we will have a fairly full picture of what we need to do.
Okay. But you wouldn't be going through that process if you didn't think there was money to be made there.
Right.
Okay. Fine. I'm just trying to give people some like quick wins for this thing, because exploration is a very long process, and for people, you've got, I know you're the new guy in the block, maybe not so new anymore, but it's been a long, frustrating history for shareholders sitting there going, well, when is this thing going to get moving? So there's some quick wins there. Right. So I guess what else are we waiting for? Money in the new year. Hard money in the new year. Bit more drilling.
Right. I would like to see the Castle adit opened up. We have a potential to do a crown pillar study at the Castle adit. The crown pillar study will open the doors for getting approval on a closure plan. The Castle adit has mineralization in the floor, as well as backfilled in the stopes. And so, the intent here is to drop the floor, add ventilation on the first level, drop the stopes, see what's in the stopes. I feel that past indications indicate that there should be cobalt in the stopes. So the Castle adit, we could be in there before 2025. Maybe we could be in there in 2023. And that would be very good, because we're getting the space ready. So as I mentioned, we wanted to also reprocess the Castle tailings. I'd like to paste and backfill those tailings into the old Castle mine. We remediate the mine. We can continue exploration from the mine, and we solve a couple of problems at the same time. Plus, it's again getting those tailings out of the environment and getting them back underground. It really cleans up the space. And I think that the Castle adit is our quickest way to getting a nice bulk sample that we can demonstrate the Re2Ox process and get, we want to get that pilot plant ready and in place, so we have the information and we have the scalability for getting a full production facility in the future. Because, I haven't shied away from it, but my goal is basically to run a hub and spoke system in the cobalt mining camp. Centralized mill, centralized leach, work with everybody, open up this camp that has produced over 30 million pounds of cobalt, over 600 million ounces of silver. But I think that the untapped potential is the cobalt. They really didn't process it historically, or they did, but not all of it. And in the early days, it wasn't a metal of interest at all. So they would have it would have went into the tailings, or it would have been unmined or thrown back in the stopes. So
A lot of potential there.
it's a lot of potential there, and I think I have a good plan to move forward at the Castle Adit. We do this crown pillar study, and once we accomplish the crown pillar study, then we can get our closure plan moved forward. And then after that, it's a simple permit that you need to apply for a bulk sample. You apply for 500 to 1,000 ton bulk sample, and it's not as long of a process as say a closure plan.
Right. Okay. I think that has cleared a lot up for me, and hopefully people watching this get a better sense of all those moving parts and what's going on up here in your head. Appreciate that. Thanks for coming and swinging by.
Sure.
And good luck for the next. Was it 3 days the conference is on?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's a busy one. I've got very little empty spaces, so I'm going to be drinking lots of water, lots of coffee, and I'll probably be trying to sneak out every once in a while.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's absolutely exhausting, these things, and people don't realize. They think, oh, it sounds like it's a little jolly trip, and it's like, oh no,
no, it's work.
It's work. It is work.
And these are even better because doing it on Zoom. Yeah. Ooh, when you have 13 back-to-back Zoom videos, your eyes are just, oh, why am I looking at this screen for
it's the same conversation.
8 hours?
Well, it's tough for you guys. I find it fascinating because I get to have different conversations all day with some great people and some not great people. But I have different conversations. You have to have the same conversation on loop.
If I'm lucky, I get a guy who wants to cut me off and he wants to ask a lot of questions, and those are my favorite.
So rude.
No, it's great. It's great because it breaks up my monotony. Please just don't worry about this presentation. If you've already read it, that's perfect. Just bash right into me and get what you need to know.
Good. Well, I enjoyed the conversation. We'll see you again soon. Get up with the rest of the week.
Great.